A tight end has to be as competent in pass protection as his offensive line, as effective at lead blocking as a fullback, have the hands of a receiver, and speed of a running back. Jay Rome knows this all too well. He's waited his turn. He's finally healthy after some off-season foot surgery and now leads a group of 4 tight ends. We talked to Jay Rome in this week's edition of Dog Sitting, and he says this will be his year. Jay, to start out, talk a little bit about last year, the frustrations of an early season end, and just how you still played through a little bit injured. What was the pain you were going through?
Well, I have to admit, it was a lot of pain. Actually, I ended up having 2 separate injuries, and the first one was a high ankle sprain that I got during camp. It was the first day of full pass. You know, everybody was going at it. Was real excited. Everybody running around. It was just kind of a freak accident. I kind of got rolled up by one of the linemen, and it was just a bad sprain. And I played through that for the entire year, and ended up missing about 3.5, 4 games with that injury. And then my first game really coming back, trying to play fully and 100% was the Appalachian State game, and in that game I tore my Liz Frank ligament in my foot, and I had to have surgery after that, so that kind of ended the last 4 or 5 games for me. So it was a really frustrating year.
So were there a few games where you kind of didn't say anything and wanted to just fight through it?
Yeah, definitely, especially with the high ankle sprain. Clemson game, the first game of the year, I was only about 2 weeks from my high ankle sprain, so it was really one of the things like, maybe you're not supposed to play, maybe, but I was like, it's nothing, I got to. It's one of the things where my dad's alma mater, first game of the season, it was like I have to play, and I didn't make it through the second half in that game where I had to come out. So it was a battle all year. Each game that I played in, and the games I did play in, I wasn't 100% at all.
Fighting through your injury and then your surgery this offseason, you missed the spring practices and you missed the preseason camp, some of them. Was there a sense of paranoia that you had, knowing there are other guys to fill your spot if you're not coming back? Was there a sense of hurry to get back there?
I was always in the back of my head, like, what if I'm not able to play by first game? What if I'm not back all the way? Somebody has to play. So there's no point in trying to rush myself, trying to get back before I need, because that's kind of what I felt like kept me injured last year, trying to come back too soon.
A little bit more cautious this year.
Right. So I was really more concerned with making sure that they knew everything that they had to do, just in case I wasn't able to play. How
do you think Coach Lilly best suits your strengths in planning the whole offensive scheme and putting you in it?
Like with when we played Clemson, we kind of ran the ball a lot more in the second half, but I mean, that's what was working for us. So in that aspect, I become a blocking tight end. But you know, in another game, our number might be called to catch more passes at the tight end position. It's kind of just a jack of all trade position. You know, we have to be able to do whatever the offense requires us to do.
Now, Georgia has a pretty stout reputation at whipping out tight ends here. What does it feel like to be a part of that?
That's one of the main reasons I came here, along with just the overall atmosphere that I felt when I was in Athens, and the camaraderie I felt with all the guys I was coming in with. But I mean, with Arthur, and before him you had Orson, and you just have a long line of great tight ends that's been here in this program and then gone on to have successful careers in the NFL. Leonard Pope being somebody that I keep in contact with, and Leonard's actually back taking classes at UGA right now, and he hits me up all the time. It was I can't remember the exact game that was on, but it was somebody else playing. And he called me during the middle of the game just randomly like, hey, did you see that route that tight end just ran? He should have did it like this. When you going, you need to do this or that. And I felt really, really good when I was like, oh man, that's really special that he thought about me in that moment to call me and kind of give me little coaching points and stuff. So the legacy of tight end here is great, and we all stick together. And no matter if we're here right now or in the NFL or been in the NFL and gotten out, it's still a brotherhood between all of us, even if we weren't here at the same time when we were playing.
Now, they say in football, as an athlete, that you grow the most physically, mentally, everything from your freshman to sophomore year. Now, as a junior, what do you think about that? What years do you think you've had the most growth? And yours might be a little bit different.
I think that the most growth I had came probably between last year and this year, and that's physically and mentally, especially mentally. I feel like I could have grew a little bit more my freshman to sophomore year. But you know, I played basketball in the off season. I wasn't quite in the weight room quite as much, and it was kind of a different time period. But this past year was just it was crunch time. It was like, now is the time I gotta do extra to get back, because I'm kind of behind with the injury. So I just felt like I had to work that much harder to not only get back to where I was at, but to keep going and keep excelling at a rate that was gonna put me where I need to be by the start of the season.
So then your overall career at Georgia has been very different than most in terms of your injury and your two sports. Looking back on it, what were some of the hardest moments, some of the toughest moments?
I'll say probably one of the toughest moments was when I found out that I had to have surgery. I had never had surgery before, and it was like I just felt where I was able to go out there and do everything from my ankle injury, and I was like, this is the game I'm gonna break out. You know what I'm saying? I've been waiting for a long time. The injury's finally getting better, my ankle's finally getting better. It's time to come out and do everything that I've been planning on doing for so long and get out there. I had 3 catches, I think, in the first half, which was the most I had ever had. And then like the second or third play in the second half, you know, tear my Liz Franklin. And it was just like, I can't catch a break. Yeah, it was one of those moments.
There are games you wanted to play in, and there are experiences you wanted to have with your team, and now you have 2 more years left. Is there a little bit of frustration on what you've missed?
Definitely a little bit, but one of the things I had to learn, especially over the time period that I was down, I was in a boot and on crutches for about 4 or 5 months. So during
not a good look on a football field.
Not at all. So during that time period, I kind of had to learn that you can't harp on looking back at the things you coulda, shoulda, woulda did, or that you wanted to do, because looking back at it now is not going to help you in the current moment. It's nothing you can do about it to change what's already happened. So just trying to have a positive outlook on the things you can control is one of the primary things I learned over my injury period, and I think that's helped me a lot, not only as a football player but as a person.
And for you personally, what do you see as your ceiling being for this year?
I try not to look at a ceiling. I think that I can go as high as I take myself. You know,
break through the ceiling.
Break through the ceiling. There is no ceiling.
Be sure to join me every Friday to get to know your Georgia football team better in dog sitting. For GTV, I'm Olivia Harlan.